Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are unpacking a massive restructuring that's practically sending shockwaves through the international dental community. We're looking at the upcoming 2026 changes to the overseas registration examination. It's a really delicate and honestly pretty tense balancing act right now between expanding access and skyrocketing costs for internationally qualified dentists. We've got a lot of crucial ground to cover today, so let's just dive right into it.
Okay, 65%. Just let that sink in for a second. That is the massive fee spike hitting a crucial examination that serves as the absolute gateway to UK dentistry. For highly skilled professionals all around the world who are dreaming of joining the UK workforce, this single number represents a fundamental, jarring shift in the financial reality of making that dream happen. But to really understand why this number is so significant, we first have to understand the system it impacts. Section 1. The OR Gateway. Let's get a handle on how this system actually works.
So, what exactly is the Overseas Registration Examination, or the ORE? Well, historically, it is known as one of the absolute toughest gateways out there for internationally qualified dentists. Basically, if you want to register with the General Dental Council and legally practice dentistry in the United Kingdom, this is the gauntlet you have to run. And recently, the GDC dropped a bombshell, announcing that starting in May 2026, there's going to be a major restructuring of the ORE fees. This is all tied to a brand new contract with UCL Consultants Ltd. And as you can probably guess, this announcement has triggered some very widespread concern. Moving right along to Section 2, the 2026 fee shock. Let's break down what these costs actually look like. Now, what's really fascinating here is the stark contrast in how these adjustments shake out. It's kind of a mixed bag. The fee for ORE Part 1 is actually dropping. It's going down 17% to £485. The application processing fee bumps up just a little bit, by 20%. But the Part 2 examination is where we see that massive, jaw-dropping spike. It literally skyrockets from £4,235 to an astonishing £6,967. Boom! That's the 65% increase we were talking about at the start. Section 3. Why the price hike? Let's take a look at the regulator's justification.
So, the GDC says this isn't just some arbitrary price gouge. They're pointing to a compounding series of structural and logistical factors. First up is that new examination contract with UCL Consultants Limited. But beyond just the paperwork, Part 2 is an incredibly complex hands-on assessment. The regulator points out that to run it properly, you need specialist clinical facilities, you have to bring in highly experienced examiners, and you need really extensive quality assurance systems in place. On top of that, there's a significant investment required for equipment and infrastructure. Oh, and here's the real kicker that caught a lot of people off guard. VAT now applies to the fee structure. Add all of that up, and it pushes that final price tag up to nearly £7,000.
Section 4. Expanded exam capacity. Let's pivot to the positive side of all this.
Let's start with some genuinely good news for Part 1. The GDC has announced that ORE Part 1 capacity is expected to massively increase, reaching up to 2,400 places annually. This is a huge deal for candidates. Historically, the whole ORE process has been infamous for its agonizingly long wait times. We're talking about skilled dentists just sitting in professional limbo for months or years. So this major expansion brings some very real, tangible hope that the massive backlog is finally going to clear out.
And for the much more complex Part 2 examination, we're seeing some really solid projected growth over the next few years. Initially, they're looking at a capacity of 944 places, but over a 3-year timeline, that annual target expands pretty significantly, aiming for 1,500 places annually by year 3. This capacity increase is the trade-off the GDC is delivering alongside those new fees. It shows how the financial hit is, well, at least in theory, balanced out by desperately needed exam availability. All right, Section 5, the 10,000-pound journey. Time to look at the harsh financial realities. Here is the crucial point to take away from all this. The exam sticker price we just talked about, even that towering nearly $7,000 fee for Part 2, that is literally only one piece of a much larger puzzle. Despite the very welcome bump in exam capacity, the true cost for overseas dentists is a massive emotional and financial anchor. And for many candidates, that total journey now routinely exceeds £10,000. How on earth do you get to 10 grand, right? Well, the exam fee is really just the starting line. These overseas dentists have to shoulder an absolute mountain of hidden costs just to get a seat in the exam room.
They have to shell out for specialized training courses so they are up to speed with UK standards. They're paying for flights, expensive accommodation, mounting visa expenses, and mandatory English language tests. And honestly, perhaps the biggest hidden cost of all, lost earnings. Think about the time spent studying, traveling, and just waiting in limbo to complete this multi-part process. When you stack all of that on top of the new Part 2 fee, that £10,000 barrier is a very stark reality.
Section 6. Implications for UK dentistry. Zooming out to the macro-level impact?
Because this doesn't just impact individual candidates. There is a foundational truth we have to acknowledge here. The UK dental workforce, especially within NHS dentistry, relies heavily on internationally qualified dentists just to keep functioning. They play an absolutely vital role. But critics of this new fee structure are raising red flags about a severe risk. They argue that dramatically increasing examination fees acts as an aggressive barrier to entry, and the fear is that this might ultimately discourage the exact skilled clinicians the system relies upon from ever even trying to pursue UK registration.
So it's a super difficult, yet incredibly important transition period right now. The demand for overseas dentists in the UK remains exceptionally high. But if skilled international clinicians look at that £10,000 overall journey and just decide, you know what, the financial pressure is simply too great, well, workforce shortages in already underserved areas across the UK could actually worsen, right at the exact moment the country desperately needs them.
Which leaves us with this final, really systemic question to ponder. The expansion of exam capacity is definitely a universally welcomed development, no doubt about it. But it is coming at a very steep, very tangible cost. So what do you think? Will the promise of shorter wait times and increased efficiency actually justify a £10,000 barrier for the overseas dentists that the UK NHS desperately needs? It's this massive tension between access and affordability, and it's a tension that is undoubtedly going to shape the entire future of UK dentistry over the coming years. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep asking the big questions, and I'll catch you next time.